So we did something kind of interesting not too long ago. We actually used a line of credit to launch a new short-term rental unit. And what was funny about this is we absolutely had all the cash we needed in order to do it. But in just 104 days, we actually paid off the entire balance of this line of credit. And we only ended up incurring about a $550 interest cost. Now, in this video, we're going to show you exactly how we did it and how to think about using debt the right way in your short-term rental business. Let's dive into it.
All right, so if it's the first time you're joining us, I'm Katrina.
Michael here.
And we are the co-founders of STR Wealth Academy, everything short-term rentals and long-term wealth. And we wanted to break down this video because there's a lot of buzz around the whole Airbnb short-term rental industry of how to get into it. Do I have to own property? Can I get into this type of business without owning property? How is that even done? Can you leverage debt? And this is where we want to break this down. And we did a case study of this exact topic to show it can be done and how to do it appropriately.
Now, in our view, there's a lot of polarizing views on just the concept of debt, and some people say things like never use debt and pay cash for everything, and some people even take like a biblical stance on it, which that's neither here nor there. But then you got other folks that say OPM is king and use as much of it as humanly possible. Now, in our view, again, this is just our opinion, both of these extremes are flawed in our view. Now, our philosophy on this is that debt can be powerful, but only if you have a plan to pay it back quickly, okay? So what we want to dive into this video is we're actually going to break down and give you guys a case study of how we launched a new rental arbitrage unit in our portfolio. So how we got the deal, how we funded the deal, and how everything worked in order to get it up and running as quickly as possible, and also reducing our risk all throughout that process.
All right, so let's dive in. So essentially with this deal structure, guys, this is rental arbitrage. And if you've never heard of rental arbitrage, that's essentially when you rent a property as a long-term tenant, essentially, and that you pay rent to the landlord, but you host short-term rental guests. And as you generate income, you arbitrage or make the money on the difference between rent and what you generated as an Airbnb. That's the arbitrage part. And this is something most of our students start with, how we started, and we still do it if it makes sense. And it really just how to run those numbers and make sure to go through that. But here, we actually did this as a case study to show everyone in our community and our students how we did this rental arbitrage deal, why we did it, and how we used it without using any of our own money.
Or very little bit. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to share my screen. We're going to get into an exact breakdown of everything that went into this. We'll show you what the property looked like and the end result, and we'll show you exactly how we were able to only pay $550 in interest by getting this over the line. So let's dive into it.
Okay, so this is the exact listing that we launched in our market. It is a 5-bed, 4-bath house, and this is the entire house. And what's a little bit more unique about this one, which we actually were looking and on the lookout for this house, is that it is a split house. So that there's 2 different levels, 2 separate suites, and we're able to rent the entire house. This was a really good opportunity to be able to actually have 3 listings here, an upstairs, a downstairs, and an entire unit. So the one we're looking at right now is the entire unit, which is the 5-bedroom, 4-bath house. So it's 4 upstairs and then a bedroom in the basement.
So a really good strategy to diversify your customer base on a listing, because it allows you to sell the property in multiple different ways. So you can sell what we like to call the main level unit, so like the first level and the second level. Then you can also rent a basement separately, or you can rent the entire structure as one house.
You kind of get all markets.
Yeah.
You get that. You get the business economy one that just wants the basement by itself, or if you have a large family that wants the entire house, they can do it, or maybe a smaller family just wants the upstairs. So you kind of get the best of both worlds here. And that's a pretty unique opportunity, and that's why we decided to pull the trigger on this one.
So let's kind of get into the numbers and break this down. So this just basically shows kind of the line by line breakdown of what actually went into this deal. Now, full disclosure, the bulk of the furnishings, we actually were able to acquire a 4-bed house worth of furnishings, $40,000 worth of furnishings, by the way, for just $5,000.
And these deals exist. And what I would recommend looking at this is being a part of a lot of your local Facebook groups, being in there, and people, when they get out of the short-term rental game, sometimes they just sell their property or they've stopped managing and they have a whole bunch of furniture that they don't know what to do with. That's when deals go on sale. And that's exactly what happened here.
So you can just see that here. So that's the furnishings that was actually purchased from another STR operator. So we paid $5,000 for that. Now all of these other line items here, so landscaping, hot tub cover, mover, chemicals, all that stuff, that rolled up to around 12K. Now we still had other expenses, so we still had to purchase some other furnishings over and above kind of the bulk of furnishings that we ended up getting in that package. So that was $6,300. We had some moving costs, handyman setup time to reassemble and build everything all over again, photography. So if you roll all of that up, is right around $31,500, give or take. Okay. Now, how we funded the difference, because we did have this initial portion we paid in cash. This is where we got the line of credit involved. So this just kind of breaks down. So we actually accessed this facility on May the 21st this year. And then we just started taking out cash as we needed to purchase more items for the home. So
yeah, and we had the cash for this, guys, but we actually wanted to specifically do a case study here, being like, okay, if we didn't have the cash for this up front to do this, what would it look like if we did it from the line of credit? So we maxed out the line of credit here, paid for all of it through, leveraging debt, essentially in here, and wanted to see, number one, what the situation was like, how easy it was to get it, and then how quickly we paid it back. And we wanted to show you guys exactly what we did.
So this is showing all the disbursements coming off. So you can see, like, here's the 3 major deposits, or withdrawals rather, that we took. We had interest starting to accrue. We had another one. So then we just about maxed out this facility. Now, as you can see here, just a few weeks later in June, this is when we started making chunks to pay back the line of credit as we started getting profits coming in from the property as we launched. Now, we can talk a little bit about what that looked like and how we were able to chunk this down as quickly as possible. But you can see here that from May the 21st to September the 2nd, this entire facility was paid back to zero, and we only accrued just under $551 in interest.
Yeah, so we paid $550 to borrow money until we paid it back, essentially.
Yeah, and that's a key concept to understand, is that debt isn't always bad. The way we view debt and leverage is, debt is essentially the cost of money. Okay, so if you are going to be using someone else's money, there's obviously a cost to that. So in this particular case, we only ended up spending about $551 in interest. So all in, all of our overhead and expenses, we basically were able to get in this deal for right around $5,500 in terms of actual cash outlay. Now, obviously, we had to pay back principal and stuff like that, but that was financed out of the profits and just some other cash infusions we had just through the general operations of our business.
Now, I want to go through some nuances. So if we just go back to the listing here, and what I wanted to show you quickly is we set ourselves up for success in this deal. And what was very important, like I said, it was the split unit, had the upstairs and downstairs. We could have the third unit all together, but there was other nuances and details, which is very specific. I just want to touch on. Number one, the location of this unit was really great in our city. It was very central, really close to malls, accessibility, and it's a really great area. So that's one thing. Number two, we negotiated a really good lease on this, because that is probably one of the most fundamental things at the beginning, is how much you're actually paying to rent this kind of house, and then making sure you lock that in. So we actually locked it in over a 3-year period, which was very important. And that is actually how we were able to negotiate a lower rent in this one. But again, with benefits, we have entire trainings on this, how to have the discussions, how to be able to look for these properties and make sure the numbers work. And then lastly, what I also want to talk about on with this is we put everything and the odds in our favor to make sure it would be successful.
Yeah, so you can see here what we really did is we put a lot of resources into the backyard of this property, because that was kind of the main selling point. So we did some landscaping, because before the landlord literally just had like a weed field.
There's sheep eating in the field. For almost
not literally, but like...
It was just complete weeds.
Yeah, it was a mess. So we put a fire table area in here. We got a barbecue. We got a dining area here. We got some nice string lights. We put a hot tub in. We have this little egg chair. So threw the photo in ChatGPT to make it look a little more sexy, as you say. So that being said, you can see very clearly we added value to the listing by adding additional amenities to make it more attractive. Now,
and we also professionally designed the space too,
yes.
right? So we wanted to make sure it was beautiful, it was a clean space, and it had all the amenities, obviously like smart TVs, it has a desk in there, it's beautifully designed, has decor, feature walls, and it's just a beautiful space that people want to book for that type of experience. Professional photography, like it's just gorgeous. So all in all, the value is there so that we can charge that premium in order to get paid back, in order to pay back on the line of credit as quick as we can. And then we're just in the gravy, we're just in profit from there.
So let's talk about some of the numbers of what we've been able to generate. So I pulled these numbers from June 1st of this year
When it went live.
until today's date, which is September the 17th, the day that we're recording this. So this property so far in the last few months has already generated over $30,000 in revenue, which is not too bad.
Not too shabby.
Yeah.
And let's get into just some of the high level numbers here of what that really looks like. You're like, oh great, you guys made 30K in almost 90 days, right? Like that's like 10K a month. It's like, well, let's pull back the curtain a bit, right? Because it's not just quite like that. So essentially, as I mentioned before, rent is very important to make sure you negotiate that low. So what we did over the 3-year lease term with the landlord is having for $2,700 rent. So that's for the month, that's for the entire house. So that's the upstairs unit and the downstairs unit.
Yeah.
Utilities are about $500 on average that we pay for the entire unit. And then we have cleaning. So this actually has a cleaning mounted to it as well. And on average for the last 3 months here, it's been about $1,500 for the cleaning.
We also have other expenses, like we get the lawn cut, we have garbage services come on a weekly basis. So yeah, we can go through a few more things, but on average, this property so far has been operating at around $5,000 a month to operate once you add in all of the costs.
Yeah, and if you go the 29,853 divided by 3, again guys, I know this is high level math, but we're looking at about 10K profit, right? Or revenue.
10K revenue against 5,000 expenses. So on average, the unit so far has been generating right around $5,000 a month. Now, bear in mind, we are just about to leave the high season months, so we don't anticipate that that is going to continue on a go-forward basis, at least not until we come into the next high season. But that being said, that was another way we were able to mitigate some of the risk in the deal because we had launched this unit with the anticipation that going into high season, we would be earning considerably more than we would at other parts of the year. So then we were able to take a lot of that excess profit and then apply those payments to lump down the line of credit as quickly as possible in conjunction with other money that we were already making in just our overall management business.
Yeah, so we didn't just take that money and said, woohoo, we just paid down the line of credit as quickly as we could. And paying off that line of credit within 104 days of going live is insane return on an investment and leveraging debt. And that's what we're trying to make the point here is when you leverage debt correctly, that's when you can make a big splash, and that's how you can get into properties very quickly and make sure you're profitable very quickly. Because we just de-risked this entire investment on a property we don't even own, and we can be profitable in the black right away as soon as possible.
Now, what's unique with this situation too is that because we've already paid off that entire facility, if we found another deal that was equally as attractive, we could just simply go and do it again, right? And then, go and do it again. Now,
well, rinse and repeat. And this is how we're over 75 listings that we're managing. So we're either owning, doing rental arbitrage, or managing for others.
So if you're finding this video helpful so far, go ahead, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment in the box below, and let us know your thoughts. Was this something that seemed like a reasonable thing to do, a stupid thing to do? We want to hear from you guys.
And have you done it on maybe your own business, or would you like to learn how to do it yourself?
So let's wrap this up. Let's just talk about a few final points before we bring this to a close. So there's a couple of risks, of course, of overusing debt. Now, the way I view leverage, it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? So yes, it can magnify your gains when things go really well, but it can also magnify your losses geometrically if things don't go to plan. So, if the market softens or occupancy drops, you're still on the hook no matter what. So because we knew we were coming into the high season, we wanted to use high season revenues to pay this down as quickly as possible. So then when we came inevitably into the low season, then we wouldn't be overextended and, we would have a lot less risk overall.
And as I mentioned before, we set ourselves up for success, right? Making sure we had a low lease on it, making sure we had the right amenities at the property, and then making sure we were attracting the right guests that we could charge that premium as well. So having that knowledge prior really de-risked this type of investment as well.
100%. So the bottom line is how to use debt responsibly with short-term rentals. Well, never take on debt without a clear plan and a timeline to pay it off. Okay?
Without running the numbers. Please.
Yeah, I see so many of these influencer people that talk about using 0% credit cards and all that, and it honestly just makes
stresses me out. I get heart palpitations.
It makes my skin crawl because a lot of people aren't fully aware of the risk that they're actually taking and the consequences if things don't go to plan and what that means to them over the long term. So,
especially if you're buying a property.
100%. So bottom line is you want to use it as a bridge to get into deals, not to cover lifestyle gaps, okay? And you always want to run worst case scenarios. So what happens if this unit is only 50% of what we project it to make? If that's the case, can you still pay it back and can you still pay your expenses and hopefully earn a profit? If that's not the case, well, then you might have to think twice about getting into debt in the first place.
And you will have those strong cash reserves if something turns in the market. Like you just sometimes don't know, hence COVID. Yeah. When that happened, that kind of took everyone by a sideswipe, right? So again, just being smart about getting into this, having the cash reserves, but you can leverage debt and pay it down very quickly in this case scenario. And we wanted to show you exactly how it's done.
Now, if this was helpful to you and you want to find out more about this, these are the kinds of strategies and the philosophies that we really teach inside what we call our short-term rental operating system. And it's really all about how to grow your business responsibly, how to manage your risk, and how to build a short-term rental business that creates genuine, real freedom. So if you want to find out more about that, there's just a few links in the description below. Again, if you found this video helpful, please give it a like, give it a follow on the channel. And
comment your thoughts. I want to hear from you.
Yeah.
So thanks so much, guys. Again, any more questions, we'd be happy to answer. We see the comments ourselves, and we'll see you in the next video.
Take care, everyone.